did file another hearing notice yesterday saying he wouldn't be present.
So Mr. Patti is not here.
My first name is not Ricardo, nor has it ever been.
He's my younger brother. I know he is. He was the person that pled. He agreed to pay $957,000 out of the $1.2 million that was taken. If lawyers lie, it more than cheapens our oath.
Richard Anthony Patti. It's a compulsory discipline case. All right. And you've requested 35 minutes, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, Mr. Patti is not going to be here. I only have one witness, so it probably won't be longer than 15, 20 minutes.
All right. Is Mr. Patti here? Ms. Truitt will go announce the case in the hallway.
And he did file another hearing notice yesterday saying he wouldn't be present. So no one answered.
All right. Thank you. So Mr. Patti is not here. Ms. Cates, you may proceed when ready.
This is a compulsory discipline matter based on respondent's conviction of theft from the elderly or nonprofit, a first-degree felony from the 262nd District Court of Harris County. The petition for compulsory discipline was filed on May 20th, 2026. Respondent was served with the petition and notice of hearing on May 26th, 2026 by email to respondent's email address listed with the State Bar of Texas Membership Department. Respondent confirmed receipt by response to the same email from the same email address, again on May 26th, 2026. I would ask that the court take notice that every communication sent by Mr. Patti in this matter has been submitted by email from the email address Ricardo, RICCARDO, .Patti. Proof of service has been on file since May 27th, 2026. If I may briefly address a filing made by Mr. Patti respondent regarding it. He submitted this argument in an answer, not technically as a brief or a motion to dismiss, but I think it's important for the record for me to address that Mr. Patti has attacked the affidavit that has been pre-submitted as a proposed petitioner's Exhibit 4, which is an affidavit stating that I, Amanda Cates, believe that Mr. Patti, respondent Richard Anthony Patti, is the same individual as defendant Ricardo A. Patti in the underlying criminal case. A couple of things to point out for the record. In his counter affidavit, which is an exhibit to his answer, my first name is not Ricardo, nor has it ever been. As I've just mentioned, Mr. Patti has repeatedly held himself out, not only to this court, to his attorneys, to the State Bar of California, as Ricardo Patti. In each of the pleadings that Mr. Patti has filed, he gives intimate details not only about the criminal process, but also about the underlying facts of the actual criminal matter, as well as the civil matter that was going on alongside. Mr. Patti alleges that I could not possibly have known that he is the same person because of all these discrepancies he claims exists for his identification information. However, he wrongfully states in the 4th paragraph of his affidavit that he and I have never discussed his correct name, his correct date of birth, or any of the material facts involved in this case, and therefore my belief could not possibly be true and correct. However, on April 15th, Mr. Patti, before our pleading was filed, before anything was done formally in this case, Mr. Patti and I discussed his case, wherein he expressly told me most and more of the things that are in the pleadings he has repeatedly filed regarding the underlying facts. At this time, I would like to offer the following exhibits into the record. A certified copy of the indictment in the underlying criminal case number 1897925, styled the State of Texas versus Ricardo Anthony Patti. From the same case, a certified copy of a waiver of constitutional rights, agreement to stipulate, and judicial confession as Exhibit 2. Exhibit 3, a certified copy of the order of deferred adjudication. Exhibit 4, my original affidavit attesting to the fact that respondent is the same person as the person identified as the defendant in the underlying case. Exhibit 5, an original certificate from Blake A. Hawthorne, Clerk of the Supreme Court, dated July 2nd, 2026, indicating that respondent is currently authorized to practice law in Texas. Exhibit 6, the sworn declaration of James Ministeri. Exhibit 7, certified copies of transmittal records of conviction of attorney Richard Patti from the California State Bar. Exhibit 8, certified copies of respondent Richard A. Patti's response to the Office of Chief Trial Counsel of the California State Bar, filed May 11th, 2026. And Exhibit 9, a certified copy of the order from the State Bar of California imposing interim suspension of respondent Richard A. Patti. I ask that those be admitted at this time.
They're admitted.
May I approach?
Please.
On November 13th, 2025, an order of deferred adjudication was filed in the underlying criminal case, wherein Richard Patti was placed on deferred adjudication for and given community supervision for 10 years. Based on his underlying conviction, we ask that this board impose compulsory discipline of disbarment. At this time, I call Mr. James Munisteri.
All right, Mr. Ministeri, would you raise your right arm? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the penalty of perjury, so help you God?
I do.
Good morning. Would you please state your full name for the record?
James George Munisteri.
And have you ever gone by any other names, Mr. Munisteri?
Just my nickname, Jay.
And where do you currently reside?
Houston, Texas.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm a partner at Foley and Lardner.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
I'm a partner at Foley and Lardner.
And how long have you been a lawyer at that firm?
So I started 40 years. I started at Sewell and Riggs, merged with Gardner Wynn, and then in 2018 we merged with Foley.
And what type of law do you typically practice?
Trial practice.
Exclusively trial practice?
Yes. And
how do you know respondent Richard Anthony Patti?
He's my younger brother. If I seem nervous, it's very emotional.
Have you ever known Richard Patti to go by any other names?
So he was born Richard Anthony Munisteri. In 2014, he changed his name to Richard Anthony Patti. He would sometimes put his, in quotes, Ricardo as a nickname, and sometimes would sign, or usually sign, Rick Patti. That's what he went by, Richard, mainly. I think to most people he's Richard or Richard Patti, and some people still call him Richard Ministeri.
Can you give me a little background about the underlying case as you know it, the underlying criminal case?
So I'm one of 6 kids, and the 5 children, the other siblings, along with grandchildren, had a process over a period of well over a year where we tried to evaluate what to do, guided by mainly what would our mother want. We collectively decided in late 2023 to contact criminal counsel. I contacted Dan Cogdill on November 12th of 2023. We made a criminal complaint February 8th. I signed it. It took a while for the indictment to occur, but it occurred in December of 2024. He did not show up by January 10, as he had agreed to do, I was told, and was a fugitive for about 7 or 8 months. During that time, I was sued multiple times. Foley was sued. I had grievances filed against me. My wife was sued. All my brothers and sisters were sued. Our lawyers at Jackson and Walker were sued twice, individually and through the firm.
And just to interrupt, sued by Mr. Patti?
Yes, he was acting pro se the whole time.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
And he had previously been a trial lawyer with my brother in Houston and had been the chief of litigation at Live Nation until he lost his job in 2020. He was apprehended in August and then agreed to plead in November of last year. And that's how the criminal conviction came about, or the plea agreement.
How has this whole process between the grievances, the lawsuits, the criminal case, how has it affected your family?
I mean, that's a question impossible to answer. It's profound. I mean, I think the only two things I would offer, without giving you all a 5-hour description, is our mother was so grossly betrayed that the intense emotional effect on all of us is a scar. And then for us personally, to have seen our family member lie to us to our face and say everything was fine, he didn't use any money for himself, and then to go through, it's not believable, the deceit.
Were you present at the plea hearing of Mr. Patti?
I was, along with my wife Celia and my brother Stephen. The rest of the family all attended by video from different parts of the world.
And do you believe that Richard Anthony Patti, your brother, is the same individual listed in the criminal case?
I know he is. He was the person that pled.
Do you happen to know if Mr. Patti's theft was directly related to the practice of law?
I mean, only in the sense that as a lawyer, we're respected sometimes to assume executive duties, but he was not acting as a lawyer for a client.
Do you think that his actions, Mr. Patti's actions, reflect adversely on the profession of law?
Terribly.
Why do you believe that?
If lawyers lie and do things that are so abominable, it more than cheapens our oath.
Do you know if Mr. Patti has complied or is actively complying with the terms of his probation?
So both my understanding as well as my personal knowledge is he is not. So he had agreed within 5 days of November 13, 2025 to send the family a written apology, and he has not. I have confirmed that in or about February of this year with his supervision officer, Christopher Jean, by phone. And that has also been relayed to us as a confirmation. Second, he was to return very specific property to the family, and he has not. Some of the property he claimed he no longer had in his possession, but the court on November 13 was very specific to put him on the record when my perception, when she thought that he might not be intending to actually return things like our mother's ashes. So as a result, he identified items and their personal family items that he admitted he still possessed. We have not received those. And we followed up with victim services. We followed up with the community supervision officer.
Does Mr. Patti still owe restitution?
He agreed to pay $957,000 out of the $1.2 million that was taken. We've received $131. He has payments that he makes in a civil settlement that had been made months earlier of $100 a month that are separate from the restitution payments. And so he has made the $100 a month payments essentially every month, beginning in the fall of 2025. I think it's July or August, and then $131. My understanding is that he keeps going back to the criminal court asking that the restitution be reduced, if not eliminated.
In your opinion, do you believe Mr. Patti to be a credible and or truthful human being?
I don't. I believe, it's so hard as a little brother. I believed him, and I started and I frankly defended him to my siblings during a time when they were very skeptical back in 2020, late 22 and into 23. Certainly by the time really everything sort of came to a head in July of 2023. And since then, he's untethered to truth. And he doesn't seem to grasp reality. I also, just for the board's purposes, want the board to know part of what I did is reported to the State Bar, I believe it was on or about November 27, 2023, but did it through TLAP and begged them to try to help him. I also went through the California bar procedure and talked to a gentleman, John Brennan, on January 10 of 2024 to try to see if they could do a diversion and somehow try to get him help. So we reached this point really after a lot of efforts. I think part of the problem is he just doesn't grasp truth and won't accept it.
Do you believe Mr. Patti has directly benefited from his crimes?
Absolutely. I mean, we've done a lot of calculating, a lot of analysis of all the records. It's a question of statements and bank statements. It is $1.2 million or more that he took.
Mr. Patti has filed a supplemental answer and has asked this board to consider suspension as opposed to disbarment. Do you think that Mr. Patti, given all of his actions and the testimony you've given here, deserves to be suspended as opposed to disbarred?
I mean, it's obviously a decision for the board. I think there is no remorse. There's no acceptance of responsibility. As I understand it, in the state court system, different than our federal system, there's no allocution. And so what he has never done, and I don't think he ever will do, is admit to what he did.
I know that you've come all the way from Houston to be here to testify, and I really appreciate it, especially as you are a fellow member of our bar. So I thank you for your time. I don't have any other questions for Mr. Munisteri. I will open it up to the board.
Okay, nothing. Thank you for your testimony today, Ms. Cates.
May he be dismissed.
Please.
Thank you, sir. So a lot of the questions I have, if I may give a very brief closing.
Of course.
As a lot of the questions I've asked Mr. Ministeri directly relate to what we call the Filipov or Asazi factors, which have historically been allowed to be considered by this board when deciding whether or not you want to disbar someone or suspend them. In this particular case, Mr. Patti did receive a fully probated sentence. So he is technically eligible for a suspension versus a disbarment. However, honestly, given his actions during this proceeding, it's very disturbing that, again, I think some of the things he have filed border on lack of truthfulness, which if they were proven, I think could honestly be perjury. But also, you've heard that he has no remorse, and I don't know that there's any indication that if he did have actual clients, and I'm not sure whether he does, it was one of the questions I was going to ask him today, that he might be taking money from them too. And without being able to ask him about his clients, I have no way of knowing. But he also changed his mind 3 times about being here today. So I strongly urge this court, as I do every time I'm standing here, to help our office protect the profession and the community by imposing a disbarment against Mr. Patti. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Cates. Case is submitted.